the Murder Machine needs a home. Now, if you don't know what bike I'm talking about, the Murder Machine was a black hardtail that was my primary bike for a little bit, and it became the Murder Machine when we converted it into a single speed. And people were amazed that I removed gears from the thing and made some changes and actually made it into a really cool, interesting bike. And when we did that giant Beagle gear, we used the Murder Machine because it was a single speed. And so it's been a big part of the channel for a while, but I have too many bikes that are similar to it. And so it's time to find this bike an actual home and an actual owner that's gonna ride it. And so the other day when my sister asked me for a mountain bike recommendation, I said, well, I'll send you one. I know my sister will ride it because she's an avid cyclist. She commuted to work when she lived in New York City. Now she's in California. You kind of need a car there. And so she wants a bike for recreation. And so this is gonna be a special build. I wanna make it cool, I wanna make it personal. And so before we dig in and figure out what parts we're gonna put on this bike, let's get it painted so we can give it time to cure. I'm not gonna argue with something painters have been doing for years. I don't know why you wet sand, it just works. If you sand it dry, it doesn't have the same effect. Maybe somebody can explain to me why wet sanding works like it does. So I'm gonna try and get as much stuff ready as I can while the primer is drying. So I've got here 3 solid drivetrain options. I've got an Eagle XO1 that's brand new. And then I've got a Microshift Advent clutch, which is of course the cheapest one. I want her to have a good experience. I don't want her having to fix her bike all the time. And so I'm gonna give her the Microshift because it's 9-speed. There's bigger gaps between the gears. And in my tests, it has been rock solid. It's a really good shifting system. And for the exact same reason, Shimano MT200s for brakes. These are the cheapest hydraulic disc brakes you can get pretty much. And they're also the most reliable. Like, you don't have to do anything to these. It's insane. This is a little bit of a risk. I've never used this stuff before, and I don't know if my sister's gonna like it. And so, let's get to it. You can miss so many parts in a bike build like this, and taking care of it before you start building is a really big time saver. You don't want to stop what you're doing and like drive around town looking for a bottom bracket. So let's lay everything out. Okay, we need 2 very important things. First of all, a dropper seat post that fits this bike. There we go, 30.9 dropper post. We just need a lever for it. And finally, our rear wheel has an XD free hub body. That's for SRAM cassettes. We're using a Microshift drivetrain, and so we need an HG free hub body, which is Shimano. This might work. To pull it off, you literally just pull it off, but it's a lot easier if you have a cassette attached to it. So I'll usually thread a cassette on and pull on that to try and pop the old one off. And then the new one, you gotta kind of wiggle on by making sure the pawls are compressed and use common sense. Like a lot of things on a bike, you can just visually see how it goes together. So I did clean all the old sealant off of these wheels, and now I'm putting lighter tires on because they're lighter. If she starts racing enduros on this bike or something, we'll put heavier tires on, but for now, I think she's gonna appreciate it being a little bit easier to pedal. Now we can build a bike. So before we really start going nuts here, I want to put a chainstay protector on this bike because that's going to be where the chain is slapping up and down. Sometimes I forget to do this when I repaint a frame. Most frames have some kind of chainstay protector installed. And I also want to figure out what the accent color is going to be on this bike. My gut is to go with like a copper or a blue or something, but I asked my daughter and she said purple. I've got to do better on this dropper post lever. These are... Why did they ever do it like this? Okay, this race face lever looks a lot better, and it looks like I have a clamp that'll work with it. First of all, isn't it crazy how purple the bike looks from this angle? And then when you look at it head on, it's completely blue. Second thing is, this brake hose is really long. When you get brand new brakes, the hoses come long because they're made to fit any bike. So we're gonna disconnect the hose from the lever. We're gonna figure out what size we want it and cut it down. Then we're gonna put new hydraulic fittings on the end, install the hose back into the lever, and then make sure the lever is filled with fluid, there's no air bubbles in it. Give it a little lever bleed. So now that this is all tidy, we've got to ruin it with a dropper post cable. The dropper post cable goes under the bike and then back into the seat tube. Now, in order to secure the cable down here, I'm gonna have to 3D print something. The bike originally came with these little clamps. And so what I'm gonna make are little M5 zip tie mounts. It's just easier for me and easier for whoever services it in the future. The M5 goes into here, and you can see it's recessed. Then the zip tie goes through here, and you can see the cable fits up against here, this little curved part. This is exciting because we're almost done here. We just got to hook up this dropper post cable, take care of a few little finishing touches, and then we can stare at it. Okay, let's see if I've accomplished my goal of making this light. 12.4 kilograms, 27.5 pounds. There are lighter hardtails out there, but the spinning weight is low and it's certainly not heavy. This was my bike at one point. It's got a lot of history from this YouTube channel. And so before I send it off, it needs a proper beatdown. So I have no doubt that my sister's gonna use this bike, but like me, she tends to learn by doing. And so I should try and sneak a little tutorial in here to give her the basics. Congratulations on your new mountain bike. Most of it is self-explanatory, but it is a little bit different. First of all, you have gears. I'm sure you do know how to operate them. You have to be pedaling the bike. This bike has some parts like carbon handlebars where if you just over tighten them, you're gonna break them. They're really, really strong right up to the point where you over torque them. Same with the seat post collar. If you tighten your seat post too much, the dropper post is not gonna work. That's right, you have a dropper seat post. There's a little lever right here on the handlebars, works just like an office chair. Push down the lever, apply weight, and the seat will go down. When you want to go back up to the pedaling position, just press the lever and it'll go back up. Now, your tires do not have inner tubes in them. They have sealant. That means you're probably not going to get flats on this bike. But if you have to make a repair on the trail, like tightening something back up or straightening out your handlebars, you actually have onboard tools in your steer tube. Just pull up on this little thing that says 1 on it, and there it is. One really important thing, if you have to put this bike down on the ground, don't do it on the drive side. That is the side with all the gears on it. You could tweak the derailleur hanger and then your shifting will be off. That's pretty much it. The rest of it is self-explanatory. You're gonna learn it just by mountain biking or being around other mountain bikers. Have fun and don't give it any mercy. So that was a bit of a shakedown ride, and although I didn't find anything wrong with the bike, there are two things I'm gonna have to address. First of all, I have to do my best to adjust the fork to my sister's weight and riding style. The other thing is the dropper post doesn't have enough air pressure in it, so sometimes it won't go up, and I have to sort of help it. So we'll set it to pressure, put it back in, and then this thing's ready to ship out. So this bike essentially went from sitting around the storage unit waiting to be used as an experiment to a way more dignified existence. And I can't think of a much better way to kind of remove bikes from my fleet than to give them a send-off like this. And being that this was the first bike that was sent to me as a YouTuber for free, it means a lot to me. It's sort of one of the bikes that got this all started, and I'm glad you guys could join me in fixing it up and giving it a new home. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something, and if you didn't, I hope you at least found it entertaining. Thanks for riding with me today, and I'll see you next time.